What's up, guys? On this episode of Inspiration Nation, we're going to be starting on our E46 budget track car. First thing we're going to do is we're going to install a set of generic catless headers. And in true budget car fashion, we found a set of stainless steel headers in our local pick and pull salvage yard. All we really had to buy was a set of gaskets. That's part of the budget car right there. Oh, you bitch. I had it unlatched. Let's see what $500 gets us. We're missing a few things, like the cabin air ductwork, and I'm pretty sure that's not OE. That's probably not OE neither. Now the first thing you're going to do is remove your covers. This car originally came with a cover up here, but it's kind of missing. So you won't have to skip that part. We're skipping it. You got to do this cover though. First step, take a small screwdriver, pop out these little covers in the front and then the back. And that'll expose your 10mm bolt. And you're going to want to undo your gas cap to pull the cover off. Maybe we can get us a Chevy LS spot for there. Make me feel better about it. We're going to remove the secondary air pump. And that is going to be a few 10mm bolts and some hose clamps. Make easy, ratchet wrench. Now, one big thing you want to make sure you do is label all your O2 sensors, because you're going to have 4 on this car and you don't want to get them mixed up. So how we did it is top back and top front, just to make it simple. Removing the O2 sensors makes life really easy when it comes time to fish the headers out through the bottom. Well, seeing that this is going to be a budget track car, we're also deleting all the AC stuff off. For one, delete the weight reduction, and 2, it'll help cool the engine bay without having the AC condenser behind or in front of the radiator. So it'll help with cooling as well. Why do we not need AC?
It's more weight and you don't need AC.
No, Paul. The correct answer is race car. Now, when you pull out your 50 million 8mm bolts that hold the exhaust manifold on, some of them will come off with the nut and some of them will pull the whole stud out. You just got to be careful when you're reinstalling it so you don't cross thread them. But there's a lot, and the big pain in the butt is the factory heat shield that's on the exhaust gasket. Kind of makes it a pain. Next thing you're going to do is remove your cradle brace here so that you can access all the underbolts. And you're going to do that with 16mm bolts here, on the other side, and up in the front. we've discovered that pulling this portion of the secondary air pump is going to be necessary to get the front exhaust manifold out. The first thing you want to do is put a jack with a board underneath the oil pan and just barely put any kind of pressure on it so that you can undo the motor mount. You're going to want to undo these 4 13mm bolts and then the one 16mm underneath the bottom of the bushing. Then it'll just fall the motor mount out and we can get the manifolds out of the way. Now you want to undo the 16mm bolt on the bottom of the bushing.
Yep.
All right.
Oh, wait. Did you get the shot?
So we actually found the problem with the car. We thought it was a cracked exhaust manifold, but it ended up being a little freeze plug for the back of the secondary air pump galley. It just blew out of the back of the head, and we luckily found it when we pulled the lower splash shield off. It fell out on the ground, so we're just going to simply put some sealant around it and knock it back in from the inside of the engine bay here, and that was probably all that was wrong with this car. So yeah, that's a good score there, and glad that thing didn't fall out on the highway somewhere. We used a slide hammer with a homemade little 180-degree loop to knock that bushing in. Now it's time to install the headers. We've already installed the rear one. You just simply come up from the bottom and just line it all up and put it in. This is the first one. We're gonna try to make this one go down through the front. We've already put the motor mount in position, but not bolted it to the block so that we can get the clearance to put the header through. Once we get it fed down through, my man Paul here is going to line up the gaskets, and I'll go underneath and start doing the bolts. You've got your headers bolted in. It's just a simple matter of reinstalling all the necessary parts that you took off to get the headers on in the first place. Time to see if she runs. And if your car is not starting after doing this, make sure you put this ground on. Now, full disclosure, you are 100% guaranteed to get a check engine light on your car by doing this modification. But we're building a budget track car, doesn't bother us at all. for a test drive. There you have it, guys. General idea of what to expect when installing headers on an E46 BMW. Now, you don't have to remove your front bumper like we did, but because we're building a budget track car, we wanted to cut as much weight as possible, so we deleted all the AC components while we were there. And with that being said, we want to give a big special thanks to the folks over at Track Advantage and the people at TMI Racing for helping us out with this project. Without those guys, this project wouldn't happen. So join us next time when we install a budget short throw shifter in our budget track car. So until next time.